Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're reviewing the MAKERFIRE Micro FPV little mini, like tiny whoop Inductrix type of replica quadcopter. Not really a replica, but something very similar but different. Anyway, this is going to be a review, an all-in-one review. We're going to unbox this. I'm going to set it up on the Tyrannus and use these FPV goggles here, the Fat Sharks. And we're going to go ahead and do kind of an unbox inspection. I'm going to record the FPV and the Fat Sharks for you so you can see my view of this. And I'll have some on in-flight commentary like I usually do, and we'll do a full review, and then we'll have some pros and cons at the end. Again, I will have the links in the description to this little micro FPV quadcopter and also for the Tyrannus and the Fat Sharks I use. There are definitely some cheaper options on the control and the FPV goggles. If you're just getting into it, you don't have to get those ones. I got those ones because I do a lot of reviews like this, and these seem to be the best for me. Initially, put the investment in and you can go ahead and connect to many different quadcopters and have a really good experience. Anyways, getting to the quad itself, here's a little charge cable. You can see that it is just a charge cable with that little mini connector there on the bottom. Only other thing in the box was this little card here. It's a service card, and you can go to support at makerfire.com for support on this one. And then we get to the quad. So very simple. We just have this box here. That's it. Just this piece of foam. And here it is. So a little mini Inductrix type of quad, because it's got these ducts here that really protect it when you're flying around your house from bashing into things. I'm not seeing any extra props. I'm seeing that it comes with this battery already in the bottom here. And let's see what this is. So you should just be able to pull this out. And this is a 200 milliamp hour 3.7 volt, so that's a 1S little 35C battery. So pretty cool. So that's a battery. They give you one battery. You can, of course, you can buy multiple of these batteries. They're all over the place online. I'll try to have some links to this one in the description so you can check out the site and pick up some more batteries if you wanted to. But let's take a closer look at the quadcopter before we go ahead and fly it. So very reminiscent to a lot of the quadcopters out there right now. This one looks like it's one of the better built ones though, because check this out. It's got this nice top canopy here. The camera's tucked down in there. We can see that it has two buttons on top. Now one tells me that it's going to be changing the channel. This is a fully FPV VTX built into this little mini camera with this wide angle lens here. We take the lens cap off, we can see that. I went ahead and just loosened these two screws so we can take off the top. So I'm just kind of holding it on right now. And then there's this other button, which is curious because that means that you can change the VTX, the video transmitting power, from 25 milliwatt to possibly higher. So I'm going to be going ahead and seeing if I can do that prior to the flight test and see what we can change it to. But anyway, here it is. So you got your antenna just soldered right on to the VTX here, little monopole antenna, which should be fine. And there's the bottom of it there. So it's just kind of a top cover with the camera built in. Nothing super special, but a great design. And we can see that it's plugged into the main board here with this little plug, the same kind of plug that they use for the battery, looks like. And there's the flight controller. So we can see that it's got these little arrows here. There's the processing chips. And it's just screwed in with a couple of screws there to hold it on. And if we flip this thing over, we can see that the motors are plugged into the bottom of the flight controller, 4 motors. And these should be, I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet, but these look like maybe 6mm motors. So anyway, that's pretty much it. So putting this back on, all we're doing is seating it on here, and it looks like these two screws also hold the whole board together. So we're just going to tighten those two screws to get this thing back on and go ahead and fly it. So let me go ahead and get this thing configured to the Tyrannus. It should be using Betaflight. So, you know, there's a lot of tutorial videos on how to connect your quadcopter to Betaflight and do that. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention though was here's the connection here on the bottom. So micro USB port. So you plug that straight into your computer so you can configure it. And also the other question is, how the heck do I bind this thing to my controller? And if we look inside here, this little hole, I know it's a little bit hard to see, but there is a little bind button down there on the bottom of the board. Anyway guys, let me go ahead and charge the battery up, get all this stuff connected and configured, and let's go ahead and do our flight test. I'm going to be recording what I'm seeing in the video, as well as I'll have some commentary going. Real time while I'm flying, I like to give you guys kind of that connected feeling of what I'm experiencing while I'm flying, so you get that real time reaction. Anyway, let's get this thing configured, get out there and fly it and do a pros and cons. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and give the little MAKERFIRE micro FPV drone, little indoor racer, a little test here. There's a little antenna here. I don't know if you can see that, but I went ahead and popped out that little antenna, drilled a little small tiny hole in the body on top here. The antenna was tucked away underneath inside the circuit board, so I went ahead and just popped the hole in there and brought this antenna up just to give it a little more coverage. I was getting a pretty good dropout of coverage at the other side of the house with this Orange RX module in the back of the Tyrannus here. It does DSMX or DSM, DSM2. So let's go ahead and try that, see how this thing does. I think this one, the arm, I just have it as throttle down and to the right. Let me see if that's correct. Yeah, okay, cool. So down and to the right, let's go ahead and lift off. I'm recording the screen. Okay, cool. So it looks like maybe we're in Ratitude mode to begin with. Let me flip it down one. That seems like it's in Ratitude actually. It's a little, you can see that the controls are a little more snappy, and all the way up should be in Attitude, which is self-leveling. Let me see if I can flip. Yeah, I can't flip there, so whoa! Okay, whoa, relaunch. Let's try that again. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's get our bearings here. Kind of lost it for a second. Okay, so we are in Ratitude, just going to fly around like this for a little bit, and we will definitely see if this thing loses connection. There's our little Mechasaur, me and Sanaya. Whoops! Okay, so I'm already losing connection with the DSM protocol, so kind of unfortunate, man. I don't know if they might have a FR Sky protocol with this one, but I got the, you know, the DSMX or DSM protocol, so not really super enthused about this one at the moment as far as the range goes. Let's try to get back up. I'm already kind of dropping out. So the DSM, really, unless you're flying like only like a room like this, I can't really recommend the DSM version, man, because you saw how I was in the kitchen and I was already cutting out transmission. Let's go ahead and switch into Ratitude mode, get a little bit more snappy flight. So not as entirely awesome of range as I would have expected, but it does fly well, you know. Let me see if it drops out of connection if I go into this room in here. Yeah, so it's already dropping out of connection. So right when I went into that door entrance, I dropped out of connection. So that's too bad, man. Not very good range. Anyway, let's continue to fly. I'm going to try to get down the stairs here. Yeehaw! So you can still have fun with this little thing. And it sure is a really cool little mini form factor. Basically a tiny whoop replica type of deal here. Let's just see. Yeah, so I don't want to go really any much further than this. Otherwise I'm going to be dropping out of connection. Let me try to do a little bit of close proximity under this little hallway here. Yeehaw! So stuff like that, totally possible. Don't want to get too far over, it's going to drop. Maybe it's the way I'm holding the controller. I'm going to try to hold it more up like this. You see how I'm holding it like this so that it can radiate more out the front, because the module is on the back of the controller there. So let's try that, and let's try to go all the way across the house here. Not quite as comfortable of a grip, but let me try to go over here and see if it does drop out. Oh, I'm still in control. Whoa. Oh! Yeah, so it kind of started to drop out. So let me go ahead and get this thing and try one last time, and so we can see what the flight timings are. Okay, so it just kind of crashed over at the table, under the table, upside down over there, but got it on back, and let's go ahead and rearm and just see how much battery we can use out of this thing. So I'm just going to try to keep it low here and kind of go through. Oh, we're already dead. Okay. So it's a pretty short flight time. Let me go ahead and retrieve this thing, and we'll go ahead and go through pros and cons and all the flight times and stuff. Okay guys, so that was a great flight with the little MAKERFIRE micro FPV. Great design, and it did fairly well. I think the only thing that's holding it back, let's go ahead and go through pros and cons here, is this DSM receiver type here. Didn't seem to do very well. I was getting a lot of dropouts. You know, that could be in the combination with this module here. I'm not sure how good this module is, but I've used this module before on some other quads, and I didn't have this much of a range problem. So I don't think it's the module. I think it actually is the receiver, just how good the receiver is in this, and the antenna here as well. So like I said before, the antenna was mounted down inside, laying across the circuit board, and it had a really horrible range. But once I bring this up, poked a little hole in here, bring the antenna out, it seemed to do a little better. You can see that across the house it was still dropping out. Up in the rooms it was still dropping out at the edges of the house. So a little bit disappointed in the range with this one. I'd recommend, if they have different protocols of this guy here, get that instead of the DSM version. As you can see, it wasn't that great. Video was awesome. You know, you have the ability to change the channels and power in this one, so that's definitely a plus. Otherwise, it seemed very good, aside from the control range. It's got a great little design, nice and compact. Everything worked well. Seemed like the flight time was a little bit short. Seemed like maybe only a few minutes of flight time. But that's really kind of what you can expect for these tiny little crafts. The flight time is not very long. So get a few of these batteries if you can. I'll go ahead and have the links where you can buy this craft, these items, the goggles and the Tyrannus, and also some extra batteries. If you are going to get this, you're going to want to get a bunch of extra batteries. I will have had the FPV screen up so you could see what I was seeing in the view. So anyway guys, I hope you really enjoyed that little mini review of the MAKERFIRE Micro FPV Tiny Whoop Inductrix replica type of quadcopter. And I hope that was informative for you. Again, I do a lot of reviews like this, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I think you'll like the other reviews. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.